Hello, and welcome to Christ Lutheran Church's video looking at the second commandment. This commandment is about God's name. The idea of a name is really important in the Bible. In the Old Testament, there was a man named Jacob who was a heel grabber, someone who pulled others back to get ahead, and Jacob's name means heel grabber. In fact, God changed Jacob's name. If you want, you can read about it in Genesis 32. Also, there was a man centuries later named Daniel who didn't get to live by his original name, and that was a big deal. The first woman's name had a really important meaning, as many Bible teachers believe that Adam gave Eve her name to show his trust in God's promises. You can read about that in Genesis 3 if you want. Recall that we are going through the 10 Commandments. In the previous video, we looked at the first commandment. After thinking through what God said there, we would of course say that we want to love, trust, fear, think about, and serve God alone. And that sounds so nice. That sounds so good. But what can we do today to do that? Well, fortunately, we have the second commandment. The second commandment says, "You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God." How might we misuse God's name? You can probably think of a few examples of ways people speak God's name, but they're not doing it in a good way. Like when people in frustration say, "Jesus Christ," or when someone in shock says, "Oh my God," without really thinking about God. Or, and for some, this is a hard one to hear. Sometimes people will stub their toe or get some bad news and blurt out, "God damn it." We get that these are bad things to say. In fact, it's because it's wrong that some people who want to act like things that are wrong aren't so wrong, will keep saying these things. But why really is it wrong? To use God's name carelessly, or to use it when you're cussing, or to even swear to God about something not so important. Sure, it's bad, but why? Isn't this a pretty small problem? Well, those names from the Bible that I talked about before, it's not just cool that those names have meanings, it's also helpful. The names we read in the Bible are helpful, and so is God's name. The names God, the Lord, and Jesus, these names set apart God as a different kind of person, as the most important person. With the words we speak, with the names we call God, with the ways we use God's name, we have the great opportunity to show our respect to God, to show how important God is. If you don't care much about how you use God's name, maybe you don't care enough about God. But I want to share some really great Bible verses with you to fill out our understanding of this commandment. Isaiah 9 verse 6, talking about Jesus centuries before he showed up, says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." All these names and titles for Jesus make Jesus seem pretty amazing, don't they? Yet these names don't only show Jesus to be great, but also shows his love for us to be great. Jesus gives us the most wonderful counselor advice. Jesus controls everything as our mighty God. Jesus is a father figure for us that will never let us down or leave us. Jesus rules all things by bringing peace for our anxious hearts. Here's one more passage. Numbers 6, verses 24 through 27. Maybe you will recognize these words. It's what God told priests to speak to God's people. "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. So they will put my name on the Israelites, and I will bless them." God puts his amazing name on us, his people. When we hear how he never stops blessing us and keeping us as his, and shining his face on us, and giving us every good gift, and turning again and again to us and to our needs, and giving us a peaceful, loving relationship with him. Do you see the two reasons why we would want to use God's name well? First, because God's name is so very, very good. And second, because God has shown to us so much love and respect with his words that we are moved to show him respect with our words. How can you start using God's name the right way starting today? Don't run away from God's name. Don't be afraid of God's name. Run to God's name and pray to him. Pray to him in every situation. Pray to him no matter what is going on in your life. As one pastor put it, the greatest misuse of God's name is the misuse of God's name. You get to call on the eternal Creator God for help. His name is that good. Here's a passage to look at on your own or with your family. Matthew 1, verses 18 through 25. This passage is at the beginning of Matthew's gospel and shows us the Son of God receiving not only a human body, but also a human name. Read the passage and follow up the reading with this question. For what reasons do you think God didn't just let Joseph and Mary name their son whatever they wanted? That's all for this time. See you later.